As I was walking down the street one day, a man came up to me and asked me what the time was that was on my watch. Yeah, I said, does anybody really know what time it is? Does anybody really care? If so, I can't imagine why. We've all got time enough to cry. I was walking down the street one day.
Oh, wow. We're already on? We went through the entire thing?
I was just enjoying listening to the song.
My gosh. I am so sorry. Here I am chatting away with Greg Gaston. You know, today is monumental in terms of prognostication. You understand that, don't you?
Punxsutawney Phil.
Yes. That's exactly right. So what did Punxsutawney Phil say in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania?
Well, he didn't say anything because he's just the.
Well, he just either nods, looks at his shadow.
That's right.
6 more weeks of winter. I believe that. By the way, is that not one of the absolute greatest movies of all time?
Oh, Bill Murray. Great movie.
I love Bill Murray.
I was about to say, when I woke up this morning, I saw it on 2 different cable channels this morning playing
Both?
Groundhog Day.
Oh, really?
That's right. It's on all day.
Yeah. Bill Murray, when he made that movie, had no idea that it would live in infamy this way. And every February the 2nd, that movie's going to play like 100 times.
Well, you know, everyone makes a Christmas movie. There's Valentine's Day movies. Only one Groundhog movie.
Yeah. I think it's great. And, you know, the Grizzlies are sort of seeing the same sort of Groundhog Day thing with the way they finish games these days. They lose last night. They had a lead. They just couldn't make winning plays down the stretch. And they've lost for the 6th time now in 7 games. And the trade deadline is looming. Will they make a deal? Did they figure out last night Zaire Williams can't shoot threes? That Danny Green needs time. He looked like he moved pretty decently on defense. You could tell he didn't have his rhythm, probably didn't have his wind. Do you think, from what you saw last night, that Danny Green can do the job?
Not from what I saw last night, but I imagine, like you said, he's pretty rusty. He'll get back in the flow of things. I'm not sure. If Zaire played 18 minutes last night, yeah, that's probably his ceiling. I would say playing 15, 16 minutes, and he'll have games where he makes some threes. He'll have games where he misses some threes. So, yeah, I think he could do the job.
I'm waiting for that game where he really makes a lot of threes. Still waiting on that game.
That's right. 0 for 1. Well, 0 for 4. Or 1 for 4, but 0 for 1 in terms of the games.
I don't know. I wasn't a big believer in him last year. I know he had a few games down the stretch where it looked like, okay, this is really going to be a good deal. Santi Aldama is the guy that has really, I think, been the gem. If I were them and I could trade Zaire Williams with some picks to get some help, you know, the 2 that are being mentioned, Anunoby and Beasley, Anunoby's going to take more than just Zaire Williams. Maybe Green, Williams, and a couple of first-round picks. Would you make that deal?
Yeah.
I am. By the way, I am not. Even though a guy can't shoot, he does so many other things, including chemistry in the locker room. I'm not a proponent of trading off Dillon Brooks.
No, me either. He's the best defender on the team right now. And I'm not one. This is probably puts me in the minority. I'm really not one that cares a lot about picks, or like in the off season, I'm not one that really cares about money. Like, I'm not sympathizing with the GM in that regard. I like good basketball teams. And if you trade 3 picks and a role player for OG Anunoby, you got the best defensive team in the NBA. It's not even close. He's the best defender on his team with a bunch of great defenders. Yeah. Him and Dylan Brooks would have to compete for who's the best defender on the team. There's not a team in the league. We're worried about the Clippers right now. I'm worried about the Clippers with 2 stars. The Lakers have 2 stars in Anthony Davis and LeBron.
Well, we're going to 2 stars. It's not the big 3 anymore. It's 2 and role players.
And if you have OG Anunoby and Dylan Brooks, there's not a team in the league that you can't match up with one-on-one in that regard. So in that, for me, that puts it over the edge. I would trade 3 picks, 4 picks, and one of these young players. Doesn't matter to me. I'm doing it. Yeah, you have a chance to win the championship this year?
I would clearly trade Zaire. Would you throw Aldama in there?
No.
I kind of like Aldama.
You know, he's good.
But
he's good
but I would go Green, Williams, 2 first-rounders, if that were enough.
I say no to Aldama because I like him, but honestly, if that's what they ask for, I would do that too. I don't think Aldama's like a no-trade situation, even though I love him.
I'm with you. But I think really you're a winner if you're able to pull that off. Williams and Green and 2 first-rounders. Maybe even 3 might be worth it, especially with the way this front office finds gems in the middle to the back end of the first round. So, I think they got to make a move.
I would imagine it's so much more difficult this year and in just the modern NBA. You know, teams that are even out of the play-in right now are like 2 games, 4 games out of third place in the West. And in the other side, teams are so close too. I don't really see a lot of sellers either. So it's not a buyer's market in the NBA right now either.
But if you can make that kind of a deal, I'm not as high on Beasley as I am on Anunoby because of what he brings you, especially on the defensive side. But I think they got to make a move. I really do. And I hear a lot of people going, well, you know, Robert Parra has so much money. He doesn't mind going into the tax. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad owner by any means. Please don't misconstrue what I'm saying. But here's what I'm told by a couple of different sources is that, you know, the Grizzlies will make, or Parra will make his money when he sells the team. What is it worth? $2 billion now, and he got it for $350 million or $330 million, whatever it was.
And only going up.
But for the most part, the team loses money every year. Well, from what I'm told, Robert Parra never pays for those losses out of his pocket. He doesn't pay for the renovations of FedEx Forum. That's on Memphis. That's on the city, and they're doing it. That's why we're getting money from the state, hopefully to spend $350 on making FedEx Forum really the way it should have been the first time. But they're going to do that. He's not spending money on that. He's not making up the losses out of his own pocket either. He goes to the bank, borrows the money off of what will be the capital gain that he's going to get when he sells the team off its worth. And for him, even with an interest rate that you know, it's fair, he's going to make a ton of money off of it. So he's never gone into his own pocket at this point to pay for anything on the Grizzlies, other than that initial investment, which he needed at that point, help. Now he's got so much money, he doesn't. But that, and I'm not saying that's wrong. That's the way the business works now. But on whatever his capital gain will be, he is borrowing on that to pay for the losses in the short term. So I don't believe at this point I've seen anything that would say, I don't care about money, I want this team to win.
I agree. I didn't have all the information. It was just kind of a hunch for me. But what you just told me makes me believe it even stronger that he wouldn't be willing to go to the tax network.
No. And
everybody wants to have an owner that cares a lot about like
how many of those
are
there?
Investments.
How many of those are there? Steve Ballmer is the only guy. By the way, he goes to every game, sits front row. He's got this like beyond passion,
that's right,
like Mark Cuban used to.
Yeah.
I don't even know if Cuban still has.
He would be the only other one I would throw in there, though. Those two.
Yeah,
right.
you know. The others, they view it as a business.
That's exactly right.
And as much as Parra apparently likes basketball, and I'm sure he comes to some games and we don't know about, but he's not out there front and center. And I don't, and I could be wrong, I don't see any evidence that would say I'm gonna pay a luxury tax. I want a championship.
A guy like that that's not really from the area, has no investment into the team of the Grizzlies, views the franchise itself as an investment because it's an asset that I don't think in the history of sports has ever depreciated.
Last night was tough because first of all, tip of the cap to a great player. Damian Lillard is just fantastic. Dame last night, 42 points, 8 rebounds, 10 assists, and every big bucket they had to have to stay in the game or to take the lead, he made. He's a superstar. He's a great player. He's one of the best three-point shooters in the history of the league. Curry is there. Ray Allen is there. I'm sure I'm missing a couple. Reggie Miller.
Steve Nash on point guards.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about pure shooting. He's amongst the elite.
I agree. He lamented a few weeks ago for also 14 50-point games for Damian Lillard. He didn't have 50 last night. He had 42. But 14 50-point games, that's more than Steph Curry, Allen Iverson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kevin Durant, and the same amount as LeBron James in NBA history, which is an unbelievable statistic for his greatness.
I think in his career, including last night, he has more 40-point games. If I heard this from Pete last night, he has more 40-point games himself than the entire Grizzlies organization.
That is an absolutely unbelievable stat in that regard. He's incredible. And in terms of three-point shooting, 37% from three isn't the best percentage in the world, but he's a volume shooter. He takes 20 shots a game, which is like 5 or 6 more than these other three-point shooters you're talking about.
And he doesn't miss a free throw.
And he
you know
miss
what
free
they
throws.
were like? First of all, he got to the line more than anybody.
He did.
And didn't miss a free throw. And you know what the Trailblazers were? This was a part of why they won the game. They were 26 of 27. The Grizzlies had a good night at 75%.
That's very telling. Even without Steve, everyone likes to blame Steven Adams for the free throw shooting. 75%, he didn't even touch the floor last night.
No.
So it's very telling.
Well, I think it's very telling that they've lost 6 or 7, and he hasn't been around for those games.
Seriously.
Yeah. He's an important part. Screen setting, allowing Ja to be even better, allowing other guys to be freer, and he just owns the paint defensively and with offensive rebounds. He's obviously missed.
Devin Eubanks, 4 offensive rebounds, but where I noticed it the most is Steven Adams is so big, he doesn't get called for very subtle movements that other guys. Xavier Tillman, 2 offensive fouls in the first quarter, both on setting screens. One on the perimeter, one that seal screen that Steven Adams always sets underneath the basket. Xavier Tillman can't get away with the same physicality because he's not built like, Aquaman, Jason Momoa, Aquaman down there. He's trying to do the same things, and he can't get away with the same physicality.
I don't know. I really don't know. He's got to come back, and he's not going to come back for another month. So, that's another reason why I think the Grizzlies, if they really want to compete for the championship this year, which some people believed. Now, look, if you're putting this as future, because they are kind of young.
Very.
Nobody this young wins championships. Then maybe you don't make a move. But in my mind, if you're really serious, make a move and do it before this trade deadline, which is a week away, is over.
Do you think Steven Adams is undervalued in the community and the fan base, or
I think people know. I really do.
At this point, they have to, right?
When you've got Ja, who's the talk of the league, you got Bane, who is your second best player, I think, and then you still have Triple J in there. I mean, those headlines sort of go to those 3 guys, and he kind of gets lost in the shuffle because he does the dirty work, which isn't exactly glamorous. Now, when he's out, you notice, right? Now, you notice. And the other thing that you also notice about him, unfortunately, is that he can't shoot a free throw. His percentage this year is below his career average. I don't know what's going on there, but that is an issue. The one thing is you can't use him late in games because they're going to do, hack a Steve-O. So, Ja last night explained this to me. I'm watching. He ends up with 32 points, 12 assists, 9 rebounds. In the early stages of the third quarter, he had like 22, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds. What happened to that rebound?
I think it just became more of a physical game. A lot of those rebounds are like tip outs or like he's helping off a guy that doesn't get a shot.
But he had gotten credit for the rebound. They took it away.
They did.
Now let me ask you this.
I saw it was a tip, too. I saw that one. They gave it to Dylan.
If we hadn't had that Reddit controversy on the blocks, by the way, Triple J, 6 blocks last night, all legit. If we hadn't had that Reddit controversy about the Memphis stat crew padding stats, do you think they would have counted that?
No, I don't.
So they say that the league is monitoring stats real time. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe they called and they said, take away a rebound from Ja because it was actually deflected, and it was deflected by Dylan Brooks.
I was watching the Blazers broadcast, and they also credited Ja for it. Do you think that was just an announcer credit? They saw him get the ball, and they were like, rebound? It was credited in the stat sheet?
That's exactly right.
Really?
So you're looking at the little stat cast that you got that everybody uses now, college, pros. It's fantastic. Mm-hmm. Tells you runs, trends. This team is 0 for their last 12, haven't scored in 4 minutes. I mean, that stuff is on that computer. So that rebound absolutely was on the screen. 100%, even though I wasn't there, 100% positive that is the case.
Especially because both broadcast teams made mention of it.
Sure.
Yeah. And that would have been his, 4th straight triple-double?
Yeah,
it
would have been a
like
four-peat. Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That either way, 9 rebounds is still really good.
That is tough. We are going to hear from Jarvis Greer momentarily. We'll get his take. He was kind enough to switch days for us because of the news on Tom Brady yesterday. We wanted to be sure that we got TJ Reeves on. So we will hear from him. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. Don't forget, there's always something cooking if you want the best when it comes to patio furniture. You want the newest when it comes to grills. You want pools. You want trampolines. You want games and arcades. No better place in the world, in my opinion, than I-40 and Wooden Road. Family Leisure. There's always a sale cooking up there. That's the place to go where family and fun come together. Family Leisure. And a reminder to everybody, we will next Tuesday be at Dinstall's for Valentine's Day. You'll get special discounts on all kinds of things. Chocolate-covered strawberries are going to be on the docket for the first time. It starts on February the 10th. Of course, February 14th, that Tuesday, is Valentine's Day. We'll be there a week early so you can stock up and get special discounts. We'll be at Pleasant View, but all the stores, I believe, will have it. But please come see us, and you can sample turtlettes and cashew crunch. I don't think the strawberries will be there quite yet, but you'll love what you see, I promise. And you'll make a real hero of yourself to your honey if you head to Dinstall's, and we'll be there again next Tuesday. In the meantime, a sweetheart of a guy, the retired, vacationing on a regular basis, Jarvis Greer joins us now. Quick question for you, Jarvo. If you were Zach Kleiman, would you make a move?
You know, I was not of the camp to want to make a move back when they have the 11-game winning streak. I said, hey, look, everything's rocking and rolling. Let's roll what we got. But here lately, it's like, geez, something's missing, and something's missing more than just another player. It's like the vibe that they had is not there, right now. They were the plucky, like a college team kind of thing, and for some kind of way that's gotten, of course, losing streaks will do that to you, but they're not. It's not like they're having as much fun as they were having. Now it looks like it's a job. And maybe, everybody's looking for the All-Star break to come up. Maybe they need to get away from each other for a minute. But, the OG Anunoby camp is all those horns are being trumpeted right now. How much do you give up for him? Do you use your treasure trove of draft picks that the Grizzlies have stockpiled? They got like 3 first rounds coming up in the next couple of years that they could use extra other than their own. Or do you, give up a couple of players? Is that why they're not playing John Conchar? They say he's got a concussion. Could he be included? And they're just not playing him so he won't get hurt or whatever. There's all kind of questions around there. But I don't know. This team needs something because right now it's not playing that well.
I wonder because they're so young that you look at really most of those players haven't been traded. Do you think some of that could be anxiety, stress, the fact that there are some changes that could be imminent?
I don't know because it may be because this, the pressure there is. I'll put it this way: as far as the front office is concerned, my opinion, there's no pressure on them to win right now because their pieces are very young. They've got a lot of good pieces. They've got a future, with their draft picks, and no team has ever won at this young stage, as young as the Grizzlies are. They are in rare territory. They're the only team in this territory because nobody this young has been picked to, actually compete for a title. If you look back over the years, you got to have some age on you, or some players with some age and experience, or some players that have been there before you actually start, getting into that championship conversation. Now, this team is good and it can play at a high level. Can they do it over 3 rounds, 4 rounds of the playoffs and get into that championship? And that remains to be seen. When they're at the top of their game, they're as good as anybody in the league, no doubt about that. Except maybe Boston, because that's the only team that's really beaten them.
Boy, what Boston did last night to the Nets, holy moly.
Yeah.
Did you see that final score? 139-96. They were never in the game. Of course, they're down to Kyrie Irving, and that's it. I mean, there's no Ben Simmons, who's always hurt. And there's no KD because he's hurt. And that's legit. So, that was – the Celtics really are something. All right, before I run out of time, I got to ask you, and I'm going to go to the press conference today at 1:30. You don't have to do those things anymore. We'll hear from Ryan Silverfield, who I believe was on the show this morning, actually, with Greg and Eli.
Yeah,
but
heard that.
16 new signees, 11 transfers in this class. So you bundle the early signing period in December and the one that took place yesterday. You're talking about 38 total new players, either high school signees or portal transfers. It looks like they've done well, but I don't really know, and nobody knows for a couple of years.
Well, that's the only thing about it, and it may not be a couple of years. You don't have that long of waiting anymore because even Coach Silverfield himself said there will be more transfers at the next transfer portal opening.
That's in May.
Which is in May?
Yeah.
And it's like they come, you can't even get out of spring practice good and know what your roster is going to be going into the fall. And that's one thing he talked about, which I totally agree with. I'm all for the players, getting what they can get. At some point, though, there has to be like a good, strong cutoff. Okay, or maybe one date you can transfer at the end of the bowl season, and then that's it. No more transfers. After that transfer, the rosters are pretty much set. Because if you transfer now, and then you have we think we're set, and then you go through spring practice, and then you got other guys transferring again. Somebody else. You cannot ever set your roster before you start to see. You think you know what you have, and you plan over the summer, and you make your plans, on how you're going to do it, how you're going to play. This piece fits here and that piece there. And all of a sudden those pieces are gone. What are you going to do? You got to throw everything out the window and start over again.
Here's my this one's going to stay because there were no rules, and they just came up with these rules. And I think a lot of these rules now, and I'm not disputing this, I think they're right to a lot of respect here, that they're for the player. So if the player goes through spring and he's only got one college career, right? And he goes, wait a second, I really thought I was good, but I just realized I'm third string on this team. If I go to Murray State, I'm making that up, but if I go to Murray State, I'm either going to start or I'm going to get a lot of PT. I think I want to go there. I don't blame a kid for that. If you see from spring you don't have a chance, why not? Why not have that availability to you? And I don't think that's going to go away, Jarvo.
Well, but that you got 2 transfer periods. One, after the season, basically,
and one after
and
spring.
One in the spring.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
So you got 2 transfer portals. So you think you know what you got, and then you don't know what you got. Like you said, I'm all for the players and their movement and trying to get the best deal, whatever they can get, or the best playing chance at playing time. But it just makes it really, really difficult to set a roster with 2 separate, transfer windows. If it was one, all right, do it after the spring or after the season. chew makes it really, really, really difficult.
I'm just going to say this to you. Toothpaste is out of the tube, my friend. It isn't changing. Hey, we thank you much. We'll talk to you your usual time, maybe, because I hear you may be moving to a different time slot on this show. But we'll let you determine that in the very near future. But we'll talk to you next week at some point.
All right, Dave. Sounds good, buddy.
That's our man. That is Jarvis Greer on the Tigers, on the Grizz, and a whole lot more. Russell Copeland on the National Football League will come your way in just 1 minute. Our title sponsor for this show, you know it's Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's in Olive Branch, right at the corner of Craft Road, the very first exit in Mississippi off Highway 78, which is Lamar. And if you go there, turn left, you'll see the gang that have been together 20 years, maybe most of them, a lot of time together. Serving people, knowing what the product is, what's best for you, how to finance it, taking care of you, which is why their retention is so good. You want the true car buying experience and financing options that are really nice, like they just had that 90-day deferment program going on. You got to go see my guys. They're the best at Homer Skelton Hyundai. We'll pause for just a second. When we come back, it's Russell on the NFL.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wolo said hello.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. When you're at your best, you can do great things. Working with a therapist can help you get closer to the best version of yourself. Because when you feel empowered, you're more ready for life's challenges. BetterHelp is a great therapy option. It's flexible, affordable, entirely online, and it matches you with a licensed therapist. Let therapy help empower you. Visit BetterHelp.com/tryit to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/tryit.
These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Free, yeah. Add your job in the purple #hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience, so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidate worth interviewing. Did you know every week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Wow. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/herd, linkedin.com/herd to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, Orco hard coolers, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We talk with Russell Copeland on the National Football League in a minute. He's brought to you in part by the Eflin Insurance Team. You know, he's a big Tiger guy. Matt Eflin is. So happy to be a part with Russell Copeland, a former great Tiger and a guy who's played in the Super Bowl, by the way. So we'll get his insights on that. But if you want insight on protection, you want insurance in a different kind of way, because I think the way Matt does it is great. It's collaboration. It's his team. They get together. They get to know you, and they get to know your family in order to protect you the right way. And they figure out what your budget is, and they definitely are able to then find the right protection, whether it's life insurance, whether it's a home program, auto insurance. Once they've gotten to know you and know what your budget is, they protect you. Same thing with small to mid-sized businesses in particular. That's their specialty. When it comes to commercial insurance, they'll find out about your product, what your personnel is all about, what your assets are, how you focus it out, again, what your budget is, and then they protect you. How do you talk and get that kind of team treatment? You call 901-386-4777, which, by the way, spells out GUR because he loves the Tigers so much. That's 901-386-4777. That is the Eflin Insurance Team. So yesterday we saw the retirement, I think it's for good, of Tom Brady. Russell Copeland, you don't think he would take this one back, do you? Good morning.
Good morning, Dave. For me, for this entire year, it seems like it was time. I do think, we look at the greatness of Tom Brady since he retired and then he unretired. I think the greatness of him, I think it's kind of overshadowed. And I know on every sports channel, we're looking at moments, I think, because the question still looms, will he return? But for me, I think it's time. And I think I think we've seen Tom Brady for the last time.
Yeah, I do too. And, I don't feel bad for him. He's got his own movie production company, and I think they were involved in this new movie that Brady is doing with all these older women. That'll probably be a big hit. Mm-hmm. He's going to get $37.5 million a year for the next 10 years, $375 million deal from Fox. It's time. He's 45 years old. It's amazing how good he still looks. I don't think he's going to have any kind of lingering injuries. I think he's done everything the right way. And what more has he got to prove?
I mean, he definitely doesn't. I think from a Super Bowl winning standpoint, from a statistical standpoint, he doesn't. I think for him, it's going to be personal. Walking away from a game that he loves so much, the competitive edge, wanting to be the best, the chip that made him the best, the GOAT of all time, not finishing at the top, winning another Super Bowl. For me personally, that's why I wanted him to walk away when he won his Super Bowl in Tampa a few years ago. But just I think what, for me, as a receiver, what we have witnessed over the past 23 years has been nothing short of just greatness, Dave. And just for a second, not the obvious statistics as far as all the passing statistics that he has, the great era that he had at New England. But there's four things, Dave, for me, that really stands out about the great Tom Brady. It's the 10 Super Bowl appearances, the 7 wins, more than any franchise. And the only franchises that are close are the New England Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right.
2, Dave, he has a Hall of Fame resume in 3 decades.
Right. And when you say that, he has enough in each of the decades that would get him into the Hall. He's the guy. He's the guy, honestly, if you were ever going to make a statement about one particular player for your league, you would waive the 5-year deal, except for one thing. He could come back. That would really screw you up.
I mean, seriously, it's unbelievable. In his 20s, Dave, he surpassed 21,564 passing yards, 147 passing touchdowns, 3 Super Bowl wins. That's your 20s. That's when you're first getting started. And we look at how great Patrick Mahomes is, and then you look at Tom Brady. Then you look in the 30s, 40,000 passing yards, 309 passing touchdowns, 2 Super Bowl wins. And then what's incredible for me, Dave, is in his 40s, 27,632 yards, 193 passing touchdowns, and 2 Super Bowl wins. And when you just look at that, the totality, and I do have 3 and 4, and 3 since turning 35. In 2012, he led the Patriots to 3 Super Bowls, won 3 out of 4, and he goes to Tampa and wins a Super Bowl in his first year. That's 3. And the last one for me is that I think legacies are made in championship games and finals for basketball. And this is when you put it at the top, you play your best. And at the top is Michael Jordan at 6. Brady sits at 5, and LeBron James sits at 4. That is GOAT conversation. That's GOAT talk. Those are the 4 things for me that stand out about Tom Brady.
It is incredible. All right, let's move on to some news, and that's Sean Payton yesterday or the day before announced as the new Denver Broncos head coach. So the Broncos give up a first-rounder this year, a second-rounder next year. People are going, what? Well, no, he's joining a list where this has occurred. Bill Parcells, Mike Holmgren, Bill Belichick, John Gruden. They all were involved with basically trading coaches in order to be free to coach their new team. And first-round picks were given up. Some money, too, in certain cases, 2 first-rounders in John Gruden with Tampa Bay. So it's not new. My question for you is, good move for Payton? Is it a good fit for the Broncos?
I think it's great all the way around. And when you look at it, I think you don't have Super Bowl winning coaches that can coach quarterbacks to get them to win a Super Bowl. And I think it's a great move for both. And I think Sean Payton is the coach that can change the culture. And we saw over the past couple of years how coaches can change the culture. You look at Brian Dable. No, they didn't go to the Super Bowl, but he totally changed the culture of the Giants. Now he has them believing that they can win the division and get into the playoffs. And also Sean McVay, what Sean McVay was able to do with the Rams and get them back to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl. So I love the pick. I think he now will light a fire on a Russell Wilson. I do not think Russell Wilson is done, but the demand that we have for excellence from the time that they go and eat, from the time that they walk into the building, from the young ladies that work in the office, the expectations to be a winner has now changed in Denver. They have a defense and they have pieces on offense, and I really love the move.
All right, I love the move too. I'm not sure that I agree with you about Russell Wilson and his abilities. Most of the time, it seems like when you lose it, you lose it. It looks to me like he's lost it. We'll see. I hope you're right. I like what Russell Wilson used to be, and I certainly think if anybody can get it out of him, it'll be Sean Payton. 2 other hires. The Texans give a 6-year deal, and if I were him, I would have demanded that, guaranteed. They get 49ers defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans as their coach. He's their 3rd consecutive black coach, by the way. So they've done a good job in Houston of giving minorities opportunities. What's your sense of that fit, and do you trust that organization, which has fired, 4 coaches in 4 years, I believe?
Well, I think when you look at DeMeco Ryans, I think he does fit the bill. For me personally, as an African-American former NFL player, I think the Texans were hiring African-American candidates to check the box, to hire them and to fire them. When you look at Romeo Cornell, interim coach, takes over in 2020, he's fired. David Cutley didn't get an opportunity 2021, he's fired. Lovie Smith did not get an opportunity, he's fired. DeMeco Ryans is an African-American coach, but I think they love him as a former player. He's from the area. He's not from the area of Houston, but he lived there for a while. His wife is from the area, and the players constantly talked about when he was a player. The 6-year deal for me, I think it stands for they're going to give him an opportunity. As long as they give him an opportunity, I think he's the person that can change this terrible culture. The culture that's there for the Texans is very toxic, and I think he has to change the perspective of other players, especially African-American players that are in the NFL, that this is not a racist environment and it's not a toxic environment as far as hiring from the general manager down to the equipment manager and on. Everything has to be changed. The culture has to be changed. But I think he is the person that probably can change that. He looks at that as a challenge.
The other thing is a flip of the coin, and that occurred in Carolina, in Charlotte, where they hired Frank Reich, who probably got the raw end of the deal in Indy, and the Ursays are crazy anyway with their insistence with Jeff Saturday. But Reich gets the deal over Steve Wilkes, who was the interim coach, who is African-American, a minority, and who got them to the promised land, or at least the first round of it, and did not get rewarded. Fair, unfair, and I should point out that the ownership of the Panthers has been pretty good other than head coaches. In their organization, they do have minority representation.
Well, first off, for Frank Wright, he's a former teammate of mine, a great player, great person. I think he's a great coach as well. So I do think he does fit the bill to be a head coach. He fits it with Carolina. He's been there at Carolina. He was the first quarterback to start in the expansion year. As far as Steve Wilkes, I think he's been getting the short end of the stick. I think he got the short end of the stick when he was Arizona's head coach, fired after the first year, and then here comes the Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray era.
Right.
So as far as Carolina, I'm kind of split. I think Steve Wilkes did a good enough job to sustain what was going on, to have you having optimism about the future. But I can't just look over and say Frank Wright isn't a good hire. I think he's a good hire. And for the Carolina Panthers, it's the first time that they've had an offensive-minded coach on that side of the coin. And I think they definitely need offense production in Carolina. But Steve Wilkes has just been getting the bottom end of the stick for me. I feel badly for him. Hopefully he'll get another opportunity.
If you were the San Francisco 49ers, what would you do? It looks like Jimmy G is not going to be in their plans. Brock Purdy just had some pretty heavy-duty injury to his elbow, which may require Tommy John. Trey Lance, I don't know that he can get it done. What would you do if you were the GM of the Niners?
Honestly, man, I would be looking to see if I can grab a veteran quarterback. I would try to see if I can get Aaron Rodgers to come in, to be honest about it, someone that I think could get it done. Aaron Rodgers would be the person to lean on. It wouldn't be Carr. Tom Brady has now retired. I would go in that direction first.
Would you make a big pitch to Brady?
I would not, because I think he's done. Of course, with it, Tom Brady and being the GOAT, of course that's on the table. But I think the sense of everyone, I think he's done. I think he's really done. I think mentally he really doesn't want to go do it. I really don't think he wants to train and do all the things he needs. And then I think it took a lot from him, Dave. His marriage, now his kids are in high school, they're involved in something. I just really think he's done. I would not go that direction. If you can't go in that direction and get a massive trade and maybe trade off Trey Lance or even Purdy or maybe both of them, in that type of trade, it's going to be open competition. But first, who knows what Brock Purdy's elbow is going to be? It's similar to an ACL injury. It's your throwing arm. I just really hate it for the kid. I think he did a tremendous job. I really think that he had a future to be the starting quarterback. And something that I haven't touched on is that I think Kyle Shanahan saw that, Dave. I think, being a third quarterback, third string, being mystery relevant, I think he had plans for him to be the backup for Trey Lance. And I think he saw enough talent that if Trey Lance did not get it done, that he could be the starting quarterback. So I think you have open competition if you cannot go out and get a massive type of deal for Aaron Rodgers.
And Shanahan clearly is definitely not a Jimmy G guy. It seems to me like they've been stuck with each other. They made it work, but every opportunity he never supports him. So I believe he wants him going. I hope they get Rodgers. I really do. Get him out of Green Bay. That's how I feel about the whole thing. What would you have done if you were the teammate of Joseph Asai, the Cincinnati defensive lineman who pushed Patrick Mahomes when he was out of bounds and set up the winning field goal for KC to beat the Bengals?
Well, I definitely would have talked to the guy because honestly, Dave, one play does not lose a game, but what we all see is the last plays. And what we will see is him pushing Patrick Mahomes 15 yards. Now you have the winning field goal being made, and you will also see the field goal being made. That's what you're going to think about. But when you look at the totality of the football game, the offensive line for the Cincinnati Bengals were trash. They were terrible. Didn't play well at all. If they had a blocked, the game would not have been 20-20. You look at it on the defensive side of the football, you have Patrick Mahomes who's, hobbling around with a bad ankle, can't even run, barely can throw the football. He's able to complete the football to third, fourth, and fifth wide receivers. They're not even third receivers, to be honest, about the fourth, fifth, and sixth wide receivers, and he's able to beat you. Joe Burrow, Cool Joe, he throws 2 interceptions, so it's more than one play. And I would definitely tell him that, get your head up. And this young man here has to come back. There's been other players. You look at a few years ago in Minnesota, you look at the defensive back for the New Orleans Saints, the last play of the game pretty much. He misjudged the pass, and here comes Diggs and scores the touchdown. So There's been knucklehead plays that have happened. We've seen it. Right now, he feels lower than low, and as a player on that team, I would definitely console him, but it's going to take some time for him to get over that.
Yeah, he's definitely a good player. There's some people say, cut the guy. There's no way you're cutting this guy. He made a mistake. He's a rookie. It'll all be good in the long run. We'll talk Super Bowl next week, that's for sure. We got a good game. I don't know if they're great teams, but it's going to be competitive.
It definitely will, man. Looking forward to it, man. I think it's really a great matchup. You got a great offense, number one offense, and to me, I think the Philadelphia Eagles are the number 2 defense, and usually defense wins these type of games. But it's Patrick Mahomes, and he has something to prove.
Yeah, I agree with that. Patrick Mahomes may be the wild card when we make our picks. Thank you, my friend. We appreciate it. Talk to you next Thursday.
Thank you, Dave.
That's the great Russell Copeland. He's brought to you by Ken Garland. Ken Garland Custom Home Builders, who is just, I think, with his dad, his company's been around about 65 years. What do? They build beautiful homes, palaces, throughout our metroplex. Whether it's North Mississippi, whether it's in Arkansas, whether it's Shelby County somewhere, it's beautiful. Go look at kengarland.com and see what he and then his dad before him, for 65 years, what they've done. Or maybe it's renovation. You don't want to leave your comfortable lot. You love your locale. But you want modern amenities. Well, they'll put the California closets and the island in the kitchen and the new movie rooms with speakers on the wall. They'll do that because he knows all the latest stuff. Call him, 751-1632. Fun to talk to, sees little details, big picture all at once, knows what your decision is. It's a commitment you're making, which is why he will work closely with you and ensure you get exactly what you should want and expect: quality construction, on time, on budget. 2 generations of Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. We pause for a second. To Baton Rouge we go next. Our SEC historian, and by the way, movie extra extraordinaire. He's working on a TV series with Amy Schumer. Got to ask him about that when we come back on the Wolo and Friends show.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hey fellas, Bill Russell here at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, and you know it's February, and that's the month to show your love. The question is, how are you going to let your most special lady know how much you care about her? It doesn't matter if your favorite girl has been your wife for 47 or 48 years, or if you're just getting started with a relationship that you hope has real possibilities. Since 1985, Memphis gentlemen have been coming to Russell Brothers Jewelers to pick out that perfect gift for their sweethearts. Young men, older fellas alike. A ring, a bracelet, earrings, or a pendant. Jewelry is always the best choice for her. Much better than candy that will be eaten in 3 days or flowers that'll be tossed out in a week. Come see us at Russell Brothers and let us gift wrap a present that will keep her smiling for a long time, and a present that tells her you care enough to give her the very best. Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins.
Just a quick reminder for those of you heroes that work the night shift. If you're looking for your tribe, they can be found at Sunrise on Jefferson or Sunrise on Poplar. When Sunrise opens at the crack of dawn, there are always people that work overnight, waiting for the perfect breakfast and possibly a trip or two to the Bloody Mary bar, because after all, this is the end of your day. Why not? Sunrise specializes in a couple of things: serving the freshest, best food possible and being friendly. When you've been working all night, there's no better place than Sunrise.
Streaming only on Peacock. From the mind of Rian Johnson, the writer-director of Knives Out.
Miss Gale, you've got this gift. Always knowing the truth.
I only know if something is alive. The real trick of it is to figure out why.
Natasha Lyonne is Charlie Cale.
It wasn't an accident. I think there's been a murder.
You watch too much Dateline.
A new 10-part mystery series.
Wolves on my fender. I gotta keep moving. I have been kind of a death magnet.
Poker Face, streaming now only on Peacock.
Basketball was born on the court, but it doesn't have to remain there. This NBA season, Hennessy celebrates creatives like Victor Solomon, who take the game beyond the floor. Their work isn't just inspired by the sport. It helps us see it through a new lens. Hennessy, the spirit of the NBA. Never stop, never settle. Please drink responsibly. Imported cognac Hennessy, 40% alcohol by volume. 2023. Imported by Moet Hennessy USA Incorporated, New York, New York. Hennessy is a registered trademark.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We just heard that promo, that new show on Peacock. J-Mo, you tell me this is inspired by the Peter Falk series Columbo, where you've got a guy who appears to be a bumbling detective but is really brilliant and always figures it out. And that's what this new thing is.
Of the same ilk. It's a little different. She's not technically a detective, but it's the same. It's inspired by where like the murder happens first, and you watch them kind of stumble around and figure out. I love it. It's an incredible show. Can't recommend it highly enough.
And if you've got Xfinity, right, Comcast, it's free to have Peacock.
That's right.
Yeah, so you've got it. Go look at it. What's it called? Knives Out? Is that what it is?
No, that's the movie that the guy made. It's called Poker Face.
Oh, Poker Face. Okay. Now we know. Speaking of drama, we have a movie extra extraordinaire. His name is Ron Higgins. We know him as our SEC historian, but there's so many layers to Ron Higgins. So you're working on a series with Beth Schumer right now, with Amy Schumer, but the series is Life with Beth or Life After Beth or whatever it is.
Life and Beth.
Beth. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was had a shoot in the French Quarter that day. It was nice. She was really good to work with. It's a funny show. This is the second season they're shooting, and it was fun.
I got to tell you, I love Amy Schumer. I think she's funny as all get out. So if she's nice, that makes it even better.
Oh yeah, she's really low key. And what impressed me was that a lot of times you work these shoots and the stars will show up for their scene and disappear until if they had time to shoot anything else. I mean, we were on the set from 9 to 7, and she was there every minute.
And you told me you were on the set from 9 to 7, and all it produced was 90 seconds of the show?
Yeah, a 90-second scene.
That's not very efficient there, Ron Higgins.
But they shoot the hell out of stuff, man. They shoot so many angles. And like I told you, the biggest thing that takes the most time is adjusting lighting. They're constantly messing with lighting. They change the camera angle, they're going to change the lighting. I mean, it's incredible. It takes a lot of time. A lot of time. And some shows work quicker than others. I've been on some shows where they'll do a scene that's maybe 90 seconds or a minute or two, and they'll shoot it 4 or 5 times, and the director say, "Great, let's go to the next. Okay, that's good. Let's go to the next thing." All directors are different. That's the whole thing I've learned. Yeah. But I'm good at this background stuff because I'm good at standing around. I've done that. I've done it my whole life as a sports writer, waiting for interviews and stuff. So this works out well.
All right, so let's talk a little college basketball in the SEC. Florida upsets number 2 Tennessee, which it figures because I said yesterday I thought of any of the SEC teams, and it's probably still true, the one that has the ability to go the furthest in the NCAA tournament is Tennessee because they can defend. But Alabama's not lost in the league. They're in first. Tennessee, A&M, and Auburn all have 2 losses. Kentucky and Florida have 3. One, let's start with Kentucky. Is Kentucky, which will do they play Tennessee this weekend? Auburn plays Tennessee.
Kentucky plays Florida, I think.
Kentucky plays. Okay. Is Kentucky going to make the NCAA tournament?
It's going to be tight. I mean, but they got the games in front of them, and they got Tennessee at home on February 18th. They got a bunch of teams that can, like Tennessee will be Tennessee and Auburn will probably be NCAA teams. Arkansas is borderline. That's all ahead of them. They got some games ahead of them in this back half that they can capitalize on. So does Arkansas. And Arkansas is kind of borderline right now. But I think they have Arkansas. I know Arkansas ends the season at Alabama, at UT, and versus Kentucky at home. So they got some stuff at the end. A lot of these teams have stuff in the back half that can help. I think right now, Alabama, Tennessee, and Auburn are probably will get in. And then you're looking at I think Missouri has played really well. I think they'll get in.
Now, they've won 3 in a row, but I think most of those games have been at home.
And then you're looking at Arkansas and Kentucky and
what about A&M?
A&M. I was just going to say A&M. A&M's problem, I don't know if A&M has enough good quad 1 and 2 wins so far, but they're playing really well. They've taken care of business. They lost to Kentucky, but they beat a lot of other people, and they got some games left in their back half. They have Arkansas again, and they have Tennessee and Alabama at the end of the season. So they got some stuff. They got some opportunities to where they can strengthen their bid. Because they're 7-2, tied for second in the league right now with Tennessee and Auburn. So they're right up there.
Let's go to the bottom of the league. Vandy lost 3 in a row. They got embarrassed by Alabama this past weekend. State, LSU, Ole Miss, South Carolina. Which of the coaches of those teams are on the hot seat?
I guess I'd have to say, golly, I'd have to say probably Ole Miss. South Carolina guys knew, LSU guys knew in a bad situation. State guys knew.
Yeah.
I think Vandy they have patience. I think Vandy automatically just from from the optics look of we're an academic institution. We're going to fire a guy because he's 10 and 12 overall, 3 and 6, and I think his Stackhouse is what, 3rd or 4th year, something like that.
I think it's his 3rd. Is it?
Yeah,
I don't think it's more than 3, is it? I can't remember.
Yeah, they'll probably give him a couple more years at least.
It's his 4th. It's his 4th.
But and I hate to see it because I really like Kermit Davis
Me too.
They have just struggled.
And you feel bad for him because he's lost his best player for a lot of this year in Matthew Morrell. Deshaun Ruffin has turned out to be injured, and now he's got mental health issues. He's not playing, and he really wasn't playing that effectively with a big knee brace on him from his injuries. So I feel bad for Kermit Davis because he's got a really good recruiting class coming in, and technically he could have Ruffin back. So, I don't know that Ole Miss will give him another opportunity.
Well, he'll get at least they play LSU in Baton Rouge on February 25th, and they'll probably make about 38 3-pointers because that's what LSU does. They make everybody better.
They do.
They're awful. They're awful. Last night Missouri had I think 13 threes. You play LSU, you're going to be open. So
I'm just curious what Missouri. Let me check this here. Missouri's 13-2 at home. They've only played 5 road games. They're 2-3. I want to see what they do on the road a little bit more before I make any judgments on them.
They got at Mississippi State, and Starkville's always a tough place to play. They're at Tennessee, and they're at Auburn, at Georgia, at LSU. So they got some challenges because Georgia's played really well. Mike White has really found, kind of turned that program in the right direction. And that'll be a hard game. So all their road games are difficult. They're not easy places except for LSU.
Right.
But every place else is challenging. So but they looked good last night. They've had some good games. I think they've won now 3 straight. They beat Iowa State in the Big 12 challenge.
That's true. That is true.
So Missouri, first-year coach, and he's doing well. So
yeah, borderline.
I think SEC probably tops. We'll get 6 teams in tops. I
think they're going to get 6 in for sure. He is the movie extra extraordinaire, our SEC historian, Ron Higgins. Go hang out with Schumer. Let me know if anything develops chemistry between you two, and we'll talk next Thursday.
Oh, thanks, Wolo. I appreciate that.
There you go.
See ya.
That's Ron Higgins, and he's brought to you in part by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric. You got a need, they will cover you. They got a comfort club, which is very affordable. You get 2 visits each year as a part of the deal. You get discounts on parts and labor if you're a Comfort Club member, and you've got priority. So if something bad were to happen, say a burst pipe, they come to you first because you're a Priority Club member. So many great things I could talk about on and on about Conway. 384-3511. If you've got a heating issue in this freeze, they're there. If you need air conditioning in a couple of months, they're there. If you need any kind of electric or plumbing, they got you covered. 384-3511. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. That'll do it for us. Johnny Radio comes your way tomorrow. All college basketball. Pick 6. And Andy Schiffman on the NBA. What's going to happen at the deadline? We'll find that out. Have a great day, everybody.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Willotion here for Home